Imagine being 14 years old. You trust the wrong person. And for the next 30 years, nobody believes you. That is not a movie plot. That is a real story of what happened to dozens of young girls, whose names were buried in government files for nearly 2 decades. Files that the United States government refused to release. Until now, in the next 8 minutes, I am going to show you what was really inside those files, and why it should make every single person watching this deeply angry. Number 1. Who was Jeffrey Epstein, really? Most people know the name. Very few people know the full truth. Jeffrey Epstein was not just a wealthy man. He was one of the most well-connected people on the entire planet. Presidents sat at his dinner table. Royals flew on his private jet. Billionaires called him a close personal friend. He had a private island, a mansion in New York, a ranch in New Mexico, a home in Paris. He moved through the most powerful circles in the world, and nobody stopped him, because behind that world of wealth and influence, young girls were being abused. Girls as young as 14 years old. Some were trafficked from other countries. Some were recruited from local schools. Some were told they were going to a modeling job. They were lied to. They were used. And then they were silenced. For years, they tried to speak. And for years, nobody listened. The system did not fail them by accident. The system failed them on purpose. Number 2, the promise that was broken. When the Epstein File Transparency Act was passed, victims finally felt something they had not felt in years. Hope. Congress voted 427 to 1 to force the release of these documents. Think about that for a moment. 427 to 1. That is as close to unanimous as American politics ever gets. The law specifically promised victims' identities would be protected. Their names, their faces, their personal information, all safe. After everything they had already survived, they were finally going to be protected, or so they believed. When the files came out, their real names were fully visible. Their faces, their bank account numbers, their social security numbers, all exposed to the entire world. The United Nations called it a grave error. The very women the law promised to protect were betrayed by the very release that was supposed to help them. Can you imagine surviving what they survived, and then having your name, your face, your personal details published to the entire world to see? That is what happened. And nobody has apologized. Number 3, the case that should have happened. Here is something that will make your blood run cold. Hidden deep inside these files was a draft indictment, a 60-count federal criminal case, not just against Epstein, but against 3 other unnamed people. The prosecutors had built the case. They had the evidence. They were ready to take it to trial. Real justice for real victims was finally within reach. But then something happened. In 2007, behind closed doors, a deal was quietly made. The entire 60-count case was dropped, completely abandoned. Epstein pleaded guilty to just 2 minor state charges. He served 13 months, and during those 13 months, he was allowed to leave jail 6 days a week on work release. Work release for a man who abused dozens of children. The prosecutor who approved that deal was Alexander Acosta. Years later, Acosta was appointed United States Secretary of Labor by President Trump. The girls who were abused received nothing. The man who let Epstein walk free received a cabinet position. Ask yourself, who exactly does the system protect? Number 4, the world is finally waking up. For nearly 20 years, the powerful were protected. But since these files dropped, the consequences have been swift and global. In Slovakia, a senior national security advisor resigned the very next day. In France, a former culture minister was forced out after his financial ties to Epstein were revealed. In Norway, a former prime minister now faces criminal corruption charges. In the United Kingdom, a prominent member of the House of Lords resigned after his name appeared thousands of times in the files. And Prince Andrew, whose name appeared repeatedly, was arrested and held for 12 hours of questioning. 12 hours. A member of the British royal family, arrested. In Turkey, Lithuania, Norway, governments are opening investigations. The powerful men who thought they were untouchable are beginning to fall, one by one. Number 5. The business world is collapsing. This did not stay inside government buildings. Tom Pritzker, heir to the Hyatt Hotel's empire, resigned immediately. He said he deeply regrets his association with Epstein. Casey Wasserman, one of Hollywood's most powerful talent agents and the chairman of the LA 28 Olympics, announced he would sell his entire agency. Steve Tisch, co-owner of the New York Giants, is now under NFL investigation. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick faces growing calls to resign. Peter Attia, one of the most trusted health voices online with millions of followers, stepped down from multiple companies. These are not minor figures. These are people who shaped industries, who sat on boards, who made decisions that affected millions of people, and their connection to Epstein has destroyed everything they built. Good. Number 6. The United Nations said something extraordinary. On February 17, 2026, a panel of experts appointed by the United Nations Human Rights Council made a statement. They said the Epstein Files reveal a global criminal enterprise, and that what was documented in those files could amount to crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity. Let that sink in. Not just abuse, not just trafficking, but a systematic, organized, transnational operation that ran for decades, protected by the most powerful people on Earth. The UN experts did not mince their words. They said resignations are not enough. Criminal prosecution is required. Every government on Earth was called on to investigate and to end the impunity. Number 7. The truth is still being hidden. Here is what the government hoped you would not notice. They called this the final release. The complete release. Case closed. But Congress members who saw the unredacted files told a very different story. They said the DOJ was still, in their words, protecting powerful men. The DOJ acknowledged that up to 6 million pages may need to be released. They released 3.5 million. That means up to 2.5 million pages are still hidden. 2.5 million pages. A CNN poll from January 2026 found that 2/3 of Americans believe the government is deliberately withholding information. Only 6% are satisfied with what has been released. Right now, members of Congress are sitting in a locked reading room at the Department of Justice. No phones, no cameras, reading documents that you and I are not allowed to see. What is in those 2.5 million pages that they are still too afraid to show the world? I want you to remember something before you close this video. The girls who were abused were real people. They had families. They had dreams. They had futures. And for years, they were told their pain did not matter. They were told to be quiet. They were told nobody would believe them. Some of them have waited 30 years for justice. 30 years. Governments have fallen. Careers have ended. Billionaires have resigned. But the most powerful men, the ones who were in those files, many of them are still free, still untouched, still protected. And 2.5 million pages are still locked away in a government building. This story is not over. Not even close. If you believe the truth matters, subscribe, because we're going to keep following this story until every page is released and every person responsible is held accountable. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because the truth is still being uncovered.